All right, reacting to every NBA team's worst team ever.
At some point, every NBA team sucked. Some franchises had their worst seasons due to injuries, for some it was bad trades. But most teams' ultimate downfall was inexperience mixed with a lack of talent. For two franchises, their worst campaign ever happened in the 23-24 season. So here are the worst seasons for every NBA franchise. Starting with the worst NBA team of all time, the 2012 Charlotte Bobcats. The 2012 season started after a lockout and was shortened to 66 games. But for Charlotte, it would be better if the season didn't start at all. Because all year long, they were a punching bag for the rest of the NBA. Playing with a bunch of inexperienced players, with almost zero shooting and rebounding, the Bobcats emerged victorious in just 7 out of 66 games. And their 10.6% win percentage is the worst in NBA history. The 2012 Bobcats had the worst offense and the worst defense.
I thought the Sixers were pretty bad in 2013 or 2014. I thought they were worse.
In the league, and their minus 15.2 net rating tied the worst of all time. However, just 4 years later, one team tried their best to beat that mark because they were literally trying to lose games.
It's like I already watched the video.
It was the Philadelphia 76ers, whose GM Sam Hinkie wanted to deliberately lose for several years to get high draft picks and become a contender in the future. Hinkie tried to justify those painful years with the mantra, trust the process.
It's not about how it turns out. It's about what you knew at the time and how that plays out for your particular team and for their particular team.
Which, in all honesty, it kind of worked. After they finished the 2016 season with the league...
Yeah, but remember Ben Simmons kind of fucked all that up. They should have won something.
Worst 10
they should have won
72
something.
record, including 26 consecutive losses. They got the #1 pick in the draft. But even with all that, despite the most hardcore tanking in NBA history, the process wasn't the most dreadful iteration of the 76ers. Because in 1973, the
Damn, who the fuck is that, bro? Like, I could have played in the 70s,
dreadful
bro.
iteration of the 76ers. Because in
Oh my God, bro. I'm having 50 on him. Bro, do you see him? I'm averaging at least 45 in the 70s right now. At least 45. Bro, we have sideburns. I'm cooking, bro. You have sideburns,
70.
dude. Bro, his butt chin, bro. His big ass chin, bro. Big ass chin, bro. I'm cooking
the
him.
Sixers had an even worse season.
Let's see that.
With just
I wanna
9 wins and 73 losses.
Man,
After they
terrible.
won 30 games the previous season, a couple of key players left the team. Add that with a few injuries and some bad luck in close games, and you get a Sixers team that opened the season with 15 straight losses. It was soon followed by another streak of 20 consecutive losses. And until the Bobcats broke their record, the 73 Sixers, with an 11% win percentage, had the worst regular season of all time. And if there was an award for the worst decade in professional sports, that award would probably go to the 90s Dallas Mavericks. After they made the 1990 NBA playoff, the Mavs went through a 10-year postseason drought. And during that period, they averaged just 24 wins per season, including the 2 worst seasons in franchise history. In 1993, the Mavericks had one of the least experienced teams ever, as 13 of their 18 players were either rookies or sophomores. With the season-ending injury to Fat Lever, Derek Harper was the only guy on the roster who wasn't playing on a rookie contract. And with that kind of inexperience, it wasn't strange that they went through the longest ass-whooping of their lives. The 93 Mavs won just 11 games, with the worst offensive and defensive rating in the NBA, and set the NBA record.
Like, I mean, like, being in the NBA is obviously, like, a dream. But, like, imagine being in the NBA and then you're on, like, the Wizards and you average, like, 12 points per game and you play, like, between, like, 20, 25 minutes and you are just getting your ass beat every fucking day. Like, every day you come into practice, you're practicing, trying to get better, and every single game you're just getting dunked on, slammed on, boomed on. Like, you're still making a lot of money, but you're just every game you're losing by like 20. Like, could you imagine? Like, that would just suck, though. You're going out there every night thinking, damn, we really fucking suck, and I still gotta go try to hoop. But, like, oh, my God, bro. Like, kids that, bro, if that happens to you as, like, a kid, I feel so my heart goes out to you. Because, like, if you, like, I know, like, some teams, we used to beat the Bullets. So we used to have this team that we would always play elementary sprint, like, it was elementary school football. We would beat them, like, 49-0 every single time we played them. From, like, when I was a kid all the way to when I got to middle school. And, like, imagine being those kids playing for that team for all those years. Every single time you went out on the field, they were losing like 40-0 every single week. Imagine sucking that bad. Like, we just go out there, you just trash as fuck. You can't get one win. Not one win. And you're not even getting paid to do that. That's just childhood trauma.
For the worst
Right.
net
Real
rating
shit.
of all
That's
time,
funny.
which would later be tied by the 2012 Bobcats. The Mavericks also have the record for the
That is
worst
funny,
point
though.
differential of all time.
Bro,
Finished
there used to be this one kid, bro. I swear to God. So, okay, I don't want to laugh at this too much. This is a little sidetrack. But so there used to be this dude who was like disabled. Like, he had like just a funny walk, but he just like nothing crazy. But he was coming in for a play to score a touchdown. And we had this dude on our team, right? So, we were all going to let him score. We're going to move out the way. And, we weren't going to do anything to him. So, the first play, he runs it all the way down. He scores like a 78, 79. It was like a long touchdown, right? And everyone's celebrating. Woo, good job. It's like 40-0. So, now it's 40-6. And we're going to let him go for 2, right? And we got this kid playing middle linebacker, bro. Beast. Probably like 5'8", 180. This tank. This is like elementary school, by the way. Kid runs through the B gap. Boom! He gets knocked the fuck out, bro. Like, he just gets absolutely fucking rocked. He's like a yard short. But then the referees walk up to the line and call it a touchdown. Or said that he got the conversion. Bro, he got... And that dude got up and was like, yo, we were supposed to let him score? Absolutely killed him.
finishing the
Killed
93
him.
season with a differential
bad,
of
bro.
negative
That was funny
1,246
as fuck.
points.
I remember
And the
when
next
that happened.
season,
I
the
was
situation
crying.
barely improved as the
Crying.
Mavs won just 13 games, which set the record
I
for
wish
the
that was on
worst
video.
two-year stretch in NBA history. But 5 years later came a team that came very close to beating that record. It all started in 1996, when the Denver Nuggets made a series of bad decisions. First, they let Dikembe Mutombo walk away for free, declining his wish to sign a 10-year contract. Then they
Rest in
traded
peace.
Mahmoud
Rest in peace,
Abdul-Rauf
Dikembe
and
Mutombo.
Jalen Rose, and all they had left was unproven young players and aging vets. After losing their most talented players, Denver won just 21 games in 1997. And you'd think they'd learn that trading away good players isn't a recipe for success, but they didn't. Also trading away Antonio McDyess, the second overall pick from the 96 draft,
But
and
it'll
their
be so far to live
best
in the
defender,
90s.
and it went from bad to worse. Eric Williams, the guy that came in for McDyess, played just 4 games before he injured his knee.
Look at his teeth, bro. God damn. God damn. God damn. How you do that? God damn. He look goofy as hell. Talk to some. Oh, God damn. Fuck, bro. Damn. He looked like the goddamn nutty professor out there finna lay. Like, damn.
And the Nuggets started the 1998
shit
season
looked
2-38, which included a then record of 23 consecutive losses. For the entire season, Denver won just 11 games, with the worst offense and defense in the league,
Bro, I could have hooped better than some of these dudes.
and
bro.
the
In
second
90s, I
worst
swear.
net rating ever, trailing only the 93 Mavs. And the next season, they won 14 games in a locked-out shortened season, and they remained horrible until they drafted Carmelo Anthony in 2003. Still, while some teams sucked for a decade, there was one franchise that was an NBA laughingstock for half a century. Before the Lob City era and Steve Ballmer's purchase of the team, the Clippers were the most unsuccessful franchise in the NBA, and by a wide margin. Between 1971 and 2011, the Clippers made the playoffs just 7 times, winning only 2 playoff series in 40 years. There were plenty of horrible Clippers
Like,
teams.
imagine being the biggest Clippers fan that whole time. Imagine being a Clippers fan for 40 years and you were just ass. You're really just ass.
During
For
that
that's your
stretch.
whole life, bro. You might as well bro, you probably in your 70s right now, like current day, and you got this cool Clippers team, to be honest. Pretty fun Clippers team. But, like, y'all probably not going to win a championship before you hit the curb. Like,
But the award for
This
the
is
worst one goes to the
unfortunate. I hope they win
1987
this year
team,
now.
albeit mostly due to injuries. Cedric Maxwell, a former Finals MVP, missed 47
I do
games,
hope
and Marquez
everybody's
Johnson, a
team wins one
5-time
time in their
All-Star,
lifetime,
and the
though.
actor playing the
Because,
role
like,
of
if your
Raymond
team
in White
just
Men
sucks
Can't
your
Jump,
whole
played in
entire
only
life.
10 games before rupturing a disc in his neck
That's
that would
just sad.
essentially end his career. The Clippers didn't make the
Like, your
playoffs
kids or your
the previous year
grandkids
with Johnson
deserve
and
something
Maxwell
for
at
that.
full
Like, that's
strength, and
sacrifice.
without their
That's like
2
going
best
to war.
players, they
It's
were
like being
doomed.
like a Cowboys
The Clips
fan.
lost 70 games that season, breaking the NBA record for the worst defensive rating ever at the time. And if there's any team who knows the Clippers' pain of living in the shadow of one of the most popular franchises on the planet, it's the Nets. New York's other team was always treated with a dose of condescension by the Knicks fans, even though the Nets were often more successful, especially when they played in New Jersey during the early 2000s. And 2 years before they relocated to Brooklyn in 2012, the Nets suffered the worst season in franchise history, going 12-70 in the 2010 season. Apart from Brook Lopez, who was in his second season, it was a team full of bench players who suddenly got a chance to play due to the lack of talent on the Nets. They started the season with 18 straight losses and had just 3 wins in the first 43 games, firing 2 coaches in the process. But nobody could help them as they were simply too depleted of talent. And when you're under-talented but also very disorganized, then you have a recipe for disaster. In 2005, the Atlanta Hawks went through one of the biggest personnel turnovers in franchise history, bringing in 8 new players and getting rid of nearly all.
Wow, that looks like fucking Jimmy Butler mixed with like, not Quavo, Offset. So weird. Jimmy Butler and Offset mixed together. Who is that? Who the fuck is that? I feel like I know this dude. I know this dude. I feel like I know who the fuck are these dudes, bro? Like, who the fuck are these dudes? Like, real talk. Real talk. Ludacris having ass, bro. Flight Reacts ass build, bro. Like, who are you? I know him. I swear I just saw him at the gym the other day. That's so weird. But like, bro,
the starters from
who the fuck? Jay Sean ass, bro, like
previous season. Nobody expected this team to be good, but when their best player, Antoine Walker, got traded mid-season, paired with a couple of injuries to Tyronn Lue and Tony Delk, the Hawks started losing in bunches. Atlanta won just 3 of their final 35 games, finishing with a 13-69 record and the worst net rating in the NBA. But next, we have a franchise that was so bad, they had to change countries. We're talking about the Grizzlies.
What the fuck was that? What the fuck was that?
Next,
dude, I'm a little fried right now, but
we have a franchise
I'm not
that was so bad, they had to.
Dude, bro, he took a clip from like an ad, bro. I was like, tripping. Bro, I was like, what the fuck? Why is that even a thing?
About the Grizzlies, who were founded in Vancouver in 1995, where they completely stunk up the place. In the 6 seasons the Grizzlies spent north of the border, they never even managed to eclipse 23 wins. The Grizzlies drafted poorly, and because free agents probably considered retirement before moving to Vancouver to play basketball, they had no hope of improvement, averaging just 17 wins per year during their time in Canada. And the worst of those 6 seasons was in the lockout-shortened 1999, when the Grizzlies went 8-42.
I want him to show the one clip. There's a clip where the dude like tries to throw the ball up in the air to end the game, and the other team grabbed it and threw it up, and then they went to overtime.
By Sharif Abdul-Rahim and rookie Mike
I hope they show the
were
clip.
the only players on that team even worth mentioning. Of course, the legendary big country Bryant Reeves was also there, but he started having injury problems and missed half the season, retiring after the Grizzlies' last season in Canada. And the most recent team on this list was setting negative records in 2024, when they broke the most infamous record for most consecutive losses in a season. Of course, we're talking about the Detroit Pistons.
Detroit Pistons are a horror show.
Who lost 28 in a row and tied the process 76ers for most consecutive losses overall. After 43 games, the Pistons had just 4 wins and were on the pace of becoming the worst team of all time, despite paying their coach $13 million per season.
He got away with robbery, bro. He deadass did get away with robbery.
However, Detroit managed to suck like a little bit less towards the end of the year, finishing the 2024 season with 14 wins and 68 losses, avoiding more negative records. Tied with the Pistons and sharing a terrible 14-68 record, we have another historic franchise, the Houston Rockets. But unlike Detroit, the Rockets' worst season.
Like, you're saying I wouldn't be better than this dude right here? You're saying I wouldn't be better than this dude right here, dude? Like, this dude's off Full House. This dude's off Family. Like, this dude is off a 90s TV show. Like, this is a fucking plumber.
That's the Houston Rockets.
Who is this? Who are you?
Yes, but
I can't beat him one-on-one, bro. I didn't even see him.
And 68 record, we have another historic franchise, the Houston Rockets.
Oh, the fucking Mr. Clean Heaven, bro. Who the fuck is he looking at? Like, why is he looking at me like that? What the fuck? Bro, I'm tripping.
But unlike Detroit,
that is funny,
the Rockets'
bro.
worst season happened over 40 years ago.
Like, I don't even see him in this picture. Like, who the fuck is that? Like, that is not a real player.
And just 2 seasons after they made the NBA Finals. In 1981,
Bro,
led by
thought,
Moses
bro, he's thinking about straight fucking, like, plumbing tools and, like layups. I don't know.
Malone, the Rockets
this
stunned
shit
the
killed
NBA by making the NBA Finals as a 6th seed, where they would ultimately lose 4-2 to the Boston Celtics. But just 2 years later, due to a poor financial situation, the Rockets were forced to let Moses Malone go, despite him winning the '82 MVP and being arguably the best
Shout out
player
Moses
in the
Malone.
NBA. And without Big Moses, the Rockets collapsed like a sandcastle in the
Better than
rain.
Karl Malone.
In 1983, their leading scorer averaged just 14.8 points per game, and their net rating of minus 11.2 was the second
14 points per game. Today, that'd be like, who's the worst star, basically? Leading scorer. I think if, like, LaMelo missed the whole year, it'd probably be, like, one of them Hornets players have, like, Miles Bridges have, like, 18 points or something. But, like, every team really has, like, a star. If you, like, every single team down the board had, like, let's look. I'm going to be quick. Damn it. Let me get the right thing. Every team. So, like, the Wizards. Oh, the Wizards. It's the Wizards. The Wizards are the current day version of that. Because the Wizards don't have no star. Could be the Nets, too. Or maybe even the Jazz, the Pelicans. The Pelicans this year would be a real low points per game for their top scorer. Hey, yeah, I didn't even think about that.
worst ever at the time. But after winning just
most
14
teams
games in
have a star.
1983, the Rockets secured the #1 overall pick, which they used on Ralph Sampson. And in 1984, they got another first pick, drafting Hakeem Olajuwon.
The Houston Rockets select Hakeem Olajuwon of the University of Houston.
In just 3 years after their worst season ever, they were in the NBA Finals again, providing their fans with an unbelievable emotional roller coaster in a span of 5 years. And if you remember the Golden State Warriors' worst season ever,
Come on, I'm frying these dudes.
in a span
Bro,
of 5
come
years.
on.
And if you
I'm frying each and every single one of those, bro. You, what are you looking at? You're fried. You're the Steve Kerr, bro. You're fried. Like, this is, I'm averaging 24, 8, and 8 with 4 steals a game and 7 blocks. At least 7 blocks.
remember
MVP. I'm going to win 11 rings like Bill Russell. I would be Bill Russell.
the Golden State
Oh,
Warriors'
God.
worst season ever,
Because what is...
congratulations for living a very
Trash
long
ass.
life. And for everyone else, the worst season for the Warriors happened while they were still in Philadelphia in the early days of basketball, dating all the way back to
appreciate it, Keenan. I
1953,
appreciate
which was
it. I've
only
been
the
trying.
4th season that the league was called the NBA. There were
Who
only
the that's a midget. That's a midget. That's a midget. That's a
back
midget.
to
That was a fucking
1953,
midget.
which was only the 4th
1953.
season that the
Who the fuck is this, bro? He's like it's like Isaiah Thomas, but like a little white like 5th grader, bro.
league
Like bring your kid to work day
Was
in the NBA. That's literally bring your
called
kid to work day, bro. That's a little ass
the
kid.
NBA. There were only 10 teams
That is a little
back
fucking.
then,
That is a
and
child,
8
bro.
of them made the playoffs. But the Warriors
Real shit.
weren't
Like,
among
that
them
is not
because they had a
normal.
horrible 12-57 record. As a team, they shot just 36% from the
not
field and
normal
68%
at all,
from the
bro.
free throw line. But you can probably still find some old-timers out there who would say that was real basketball. And those guys would beat Steph Curry and the current Warriors players. And the next team is the most decorated franchise in the NBA.
That's why you
with
can't compare
18
the past
championship
too much.
banners and very few losing seasons. But the Celtics had a dry spell between Larry Bird's retirement and the arrival of the truth. Between their inaugural season in 1947 and 1990,
See, like, bro, look how he's just taking that to the rack. Like, if you just anybody from this age can go play back then. Because, like,
and the arrival
just look
of
how
the
he
truth.
made that
Between
look
their
so
inaugural
like only using his
season
right
in
hand, coming up Just to go up with his right hand. And that white boy didn't even try to jump for the ball. I'm blocking that. I could literally dead ass almost block that shit off backboard.
1993, the C's missed the
Bro, for real, you finishing like this?
playoffs a total of 7 times in 46 years. And then they missed it 6 times
Now, this is getting real basketball.
in a row.
Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, that little weak-ass layup ain't
Between
Kevin Garnett fucking throwing that shit.
1996 and 2001, including a horrendous 1997 season when they won just 15 games and lost 67. The 97 Celtics didn't have a lot of talent to begin with, but when their 2 best players, Dino Radja and Dana Barros, got hurt
they look
and
like
missed the
hoopers.
majority of the season,
I know
it
who
got
they
ugly
are, but like,
quickly.
they're hoopers.
And that's how the Celtics ended up with their worst season in franchise history. And a similar fate struck another perennial winner of the Larry O'Brien Trophy, who suffered their worst season just 3 years after winning an NBA title. But unlike the Celtics, the Bulls haven't recovered since. And it doesn't look like they will if we look at the current roster.
So like,
Still,
you look at like today's dudes, like today's dudes,
haven't
bro, like,
recovered
they all look
since.
like hoopers.
And it doesn't
And they're all big as hell. So like they got some swag to them. Like they look like they finna go get a bucket. But like the dudes back in the day just didn't look like they were gonna get a bucket.
look like they
You
will
gotta have
if we
the
look at the
look.
current roster. Still, however bad the Bulls may look now, they will hardly be worse than the 2001 team. After 1998 and the last dance, all of the Bulls championship players either retired or left the team within 2 years. And when the 2001 season rolled around, Chicago's basketball team looked unrecognizable, even though they had Ron Artest, Jamal Crawford, Brad Miller, and Elton Brand, who all had great
That is disgusting.
NBA careers.
That is
They were all
disgusting.
young back then, with no experience, and the Bulls, as a whole, were awful, with the worst net rating in franchise history and a 15-67 record. And this next team used to be famous for losing to the Bulls and Michael Jordan. Before they drafted LeBron, losing to Jordan in the 1992 conference finals and Michael Jordan. Before they drafted LeBron.
Look at Bron, man.
Losing to Jordan in the 1992 conference finals was as far as the Cleveland Cavaliers could go, and they had the reputation as one of the least successful NBA franchises, winning just 4 playoff series in their first 35 years of existence. Furthermore, the Cavs are one of 4 teams on this list to match their worst record in a season more than once. Cleveland had 2 seasons with a 15-67 record, once in their inaugural NBA season in 1971, and then again in 1982, in a season where they played 23 different players and exchanged 4 head coaches, only to end up losing more games. And just like the Cavs, the Miami Heat also had 2 horrible seasons, with the same 15-67 record. And just like the Cavs, the first of those seasons happened in Miami's inaugural year in the NBA, which was to be expected for an expansion team that formed its roster from players that the other teams didn't want. But the second time the Heat had a 15-67 season, it was just 2 years after they won the NBA title. In 2008, Shaq's production was falling off a cliff, and he was feuding with coach Pat Riley, nearly getting into a fistfight with him, after which O'Neal was traded to Phoenix. And with injuries to both Dwayne Wade and Udonis Haslem, and the advanced age of Alonzo Mourning and Jason Williams, it wasn't a surprise that this Heat season went down the drain. And 1 year after Miami, the Minnesota Timberwolves came to the NBA, in an expansion that also saw the birth of the Orlando Magic. And like all the expansion franchises, the Timberwolves weren't any good, winning an average of 21 games in their first 6 years, until they drafted Kevin Garnett and finally started seeing some W's in the win-loss column. The worst of those early years, though, was the 1992 season, when the Wolves posted a 15-67 record, a feat they would match in 2010, with the likes of Darko Milicic, Sasha Pavlovich, and Ryan Gomes playing significant minutes. And this next team had a league MVP and one of the best European players ever on their roster. They just didn't know it yet. With a 15-67 record in the 2013-2014 season, we have the Milwaukee Bucks, when Giannis was just a skinny rookie, and Chris Middleton was a second-year guy who had just started showing flashes of potential. The first option on the team was Brandon Knight, a guy who was most famous for getting his ankles broken by Kyrie and dunked on by DeAndre Jordan. So it's no wonder this team wasn't that great. And the final franchise with a 15-67 record as their worst season is a team from last year, and that's the 2024 Washington Wizards. When your best players are Jordan Poole, who appeared on Shaqtin' a Fool more than any other player last year,
David, people, random guys. Terrell Owens. Ocho Cinco.
and Kyle Kuzma, who looked more concerned with fashion than winning games, then it's no wonder that you won just 15 times in a season. But unlike the Wizards, the Phoenix Suns posted their worst result in their first season in the NBA. The Suns came to the league in 1968, finishing with 16 wins and 66 losses as newcomers. That Phoenix team wasn't that bad offensively, and they even had two All-Stars in Gail Goodrich and Dick Van Arsdale. But the first-year Suns were a black hole on defense, giving up 120 points per game, which was the main cause of their bad record. And moving from sunny Arizona to icy Canada, we have the Raptors, who came to the NBA in 1995 and had their worst season ever in 1998, even though they had multiple Hall of Famers on their roster. The 98 Raptors started the year
I wish T-Mac could have been a Raptor for
19,
life.
after which they traded the biggest star on the team, Damon Stoudemire. The guy they traded for, Kenny Anderson, refused to play for the team because he believed the Raptors were trash. So Toronto was forced to make another trade, acquiring future Hall of Famer Chauncey Billups and pairing him with Tracy McGrady. But both T-Mac and Chauncey were just rookies, and they couldn't help Toronto win games, as the Raptors finished the season with a 16-66 record, which was bad. But it also gave them the opportunity to
T-Mac,
draft
though,
the
man.
most
I want a
important player
T-Mac.
in
That's
franchise
so
history.
fast. It's a
Vince
fire
Carter
jersey.
was supposed to be the next Michael Jordan, but the only true heir to MJ's throne proved to be that little Laker boy who wanted to take everybody one-on-one.
I don't Lakers boys want to take everybody one-on-one.
Hey, you're gonna make it there.
I'm gonna make this a one-on-one game.
And this may be hard to believe, but the worst season in Lakers history happened with Kobe on the team, albeit it was also the worst season of Kobe's career. It was the 2015-2016 season, when the Lakers were less concerned about winning games and more focused on the enormous media attention of Kobe's retirement tour. The Lakers won just 17 games that season, but outside of Lakers fans, nobody really cared, especially after Bryant scored 60 in the last game of the season, dropping the mic on a legendary career.
Mamba out.
And 1 year earlier,
in
another
peace.
historic
Rest in
franchise
peace.
had their worst season ever. But unlike the Lakers, the New York Knicks sucked for most of the 21st century, making the playoffs just 2 times from 2000 until 2010. But then
Damn.
they added Carmelo Anthony and Amare Stoudemire, who were supposed to take their
wish I got
franchise
to
to the
watch Kobe
promised
play
land
more.
and deliver the title they'd been missing since the 70s. But all they got was one playoff series win in 2013, followed by a 37-win season where they missed the playoffs. And then in 2015, the worst season in franchise history, with just 17 wins and a bitter taste in everyone's mouth.
The New York Knicks look like straight trash.
Amari's knees were giving out, Carmelo missed half the season, and the rest of the roster was discombobulated, with no continuity and sense whatsoever. And then, in 2019, it happened again, and the Knicks had another 17-65 season due to a complete lack of talent, with their roster including the likes of Kevin Knox, Emmanuel Mudiay, Dennis Smith Jr., and Mario Hezonja, all draft busts currently out of the NBA. Another team with an all-time worst record of 17-65 is a franchise that moved a lot, from winning the 1951 NBA title as the Rochester Royals to the days of the Cincinnati Royals with Oscar Robertson, and then after short stints in Nebraska and Kansas City, the Kings finally settled in Sacramento in 1985. And despite all the moving
Man, I
and the
do not
tumult,
care about the Kings.
horrible
I hate
that
the
one
Kings.
and made in two
I hate-
conference,
there we
making the
go.
playoffs on both occasions. New Orleans spent their first 2
I hate
seasons
the
in the
Kings.
Eastern Conference, making the playoffs on both occasions. But in their third year, when they moved to the Western Conference, they suffered the worst season in franchise history, winning just 18 games in the 2005 season. The team started the campaign 2-29, and after the trade of Baron Davis and David Wesley, it was clear that the team was waving the white flag, and that their only hopes were to get a high draft pick. But unlike New Orleans, the next franchise started their worst season
Man,
with
forget that. Wait, let's get through
from
the rest
last.
of this.
Conceding
I gotta show
120
y'all Chris
points per
Paul
game.
dunking
The Magic
on
finished
Dwight
the
Howard.
season with an 18-64 record.
Oh,
Mr.
Magic
Caesar was
finished-
fired and
Oh,
was
the
did with the
Blazers-
best Spurs
the
had a
Spurs-
games then for Tim Duncan and the right to select. And this known as the Super franchise without when the Supers like the Super the 8-1 season 1983 and finally NBA franchise occurred and escaped the and if you like this video,
Okay, I got some more important to show you. CP3 dunk on
striker with that ability to snipe from the perimeter.
Is my dog coming? Bruce. Come here. This is my dog, chat. Say hello. Come here. Alright, well. Look at Chris Paul. Boom. Right on Dwight. That's a crazy dunk. That's like the craziest dunk ever. Okay, that was up.